Good day, everyone. My name is Charles Cedric Enghog, and I'm going to recite the Rule 130, Section 10 to 35. Okay, Parallel Evidence, Section 10. Evidence of written agreements. When the terms of an agreement have been reduced to writing, it is considered as containing all the terms agreed upon, and there can be assent between the parties and their successors in interest. No evidence of such terms other than the contents of the written agreement. However, a party may present evidence to modify, explain, or add to the terms of the written agreement. If he or she puts in issue in a verified pleading an intrinsic ambiguity, mistake, or imperfection in the written agreement, the failure of the written agreement to express the true intent and agreement of the parties there, the validity of the written agreement, or the existence of the other terms agreed to by the parties or their successors in interest after the execution of the written agreement. The term agreement include wills. And 4. Interpretation of documents. Section 11. Interpretation of in a writing according to a legal meaning. The language of writing to be interpreted according to the legal meaning it bears in the place of its execution, unless the parties intended otherwise. Section 12. Instrument construed to give effect to all provisions in the construction of an instrument where there are several provisions or particulars such as construction, if possible, to be adopted as will give effect to all. And then Section 13, interpretation according to intention, general and particular provisions in the construction of an instrument. The intention of the parties is to be pursued, and when a general and a particular provision are inconsistent, the latter is paramount to the former. So a particular intent will control a general one that is inconsistent with it. Section 14, interpretation according to circumstances. For the proper construction of an instrument, the circumstances under which it was made, including the situation of the subject thereof and the parties, it may be shown so that the judge may be placed in the position of those whose language he or she is to interpret. And then Section 15, peculiar signification of terms. The terms of writing are presumed to have been used in their primary and general acceptation, but evidence is admissible to show they have a local or technical or otherwise peculiar signification, and were so used and understood in the particular instance, in which case the agreement must be construed accordingly. And then Section 16, written words. Control printed when an instrument consists partly of written words and partly of a printed form, and the two are inconsistent, the former controls the latter. So Section 17, expert interpreters to be used in explaining certain writings. When the characters in which an instrument is written are difficult to be deciphered, or the language is not understood by the court, the evidence of persons skilled deciphering the characters or who understand the language is admissible to declare the characters or the meaning of the language. Section 18, of two construction, which preferred when the terms of an agreement have been intended in a different sense by the different parties to it, that sense to prevail against either party in which he or she supposed the other understood it, and with different construction of a provision are otherwise equally properly that is to be taken, which is the most favorable to the party in whose favor the provision was made. Section 19, construction in a favor and natural right. When an instrument equally susceptible of two interpretations, one in a favor of natural right and the other against in the former, is to adopted. And then Section 20, interpretation according to usage. An instrument may be constructed according to usage in order to determine its true character. Testimonial evidence. Qualification of witness. Section 21, witnesses. Their qualifications: all person who can perceive and perceiving can make known their perception to others may be a witness. Religious or political belief, interest in the outcome of the case or conviction of a crime, unless otherwise provided by law, shall not be a ground for a disqualification. And then Section 21, that's disqualification by reason of mental incapacity or immaturity. Section 22, testimony confined to personal knowledge. A witness can testify only those facts which he or she knows of his or her personal knowledge, that is which are derived from his or her own perception. Section 23, disqualification by reason of marriage. During their marriage, the husband or the wife cannot testify against the other without the consent of the affected spouse, except in a civil case by one against the other, or a criminal case for a crime committed by one against the other or the latter's direct descendants or ascendants. Section 24, disqualification by reason of privileged communications. The following persons cannot testify as to matters learned in confidence in the following cases. The husband or the wife during or the marriage cannot be examined without the consent. The other case to any communication on received confidence by one from the other during the marriage, except in a civil cases, one against other, or in a criminal cases for a crime committed by one against the other or the latter's direct descendants or ascendants. B. An attorney or person reasonably believed by the client to be licensed to engage in the practice of law cannot without the consent of the client be examined as to any communication made by the client to him or her, his or her advice given thereon in the course of with a view to a professional employment. Can an attorney, secretary, stenographer, or clerk, or the other person assisting the attorney be examined without the consent of the client and his or her employer concerning any fact, the knowledge of which has been acquired in such capacity, except in the following cases? Furtherance of a crime or fraud, if the service or advice of the lawyer were sought or obtained to enable or aid anyone to commit or plan to commit what the client knew or reasonably should have known to be a crime or fraud, claimants through the same deceased client as to a communication on relevant an issue between parties claim through the same deceased client, regardless of whether the claims are by testate or intestate by the inter vivos transaction. Breach of duty by lawyer or client as to communication on relevant to issue, breach of duty by the two lawyer or her client to his or her lawyer document tested by the lawyer as to a communication on relevant to an issue concerning an attested document to which the lawyer is an attesting witness or joint client as to a communication on relevant to a matter of common interest between two or more clients if the communication on was made by any of them to a lawyer retained or consulted in common with or offered in action between any of the clients unless they have expressly agreed otherwise. And C, a physician, psychotherapist, or person reasonably believed that the patient to be authorized to practice medicine or psychotherapy cannot in a civil case, without the consent of the patient, be examined as to confidential communication made for the purpose of diagnosis or treatment of the patient's physical, mental, or emotional condition, including alcohol or drug addiction, between the patient and his or her physician or psychotherapist. This privilege also applies to persons including members of the patient's family who have participated in the diagnosis or treatment of the patients under the direction of the physician or psychotherapist. And also, psychotherapist is a person licensed to practice medicines, engaged in the diagnosis or treatment of a mental or emotional condition, or a person licensed as a psychologist by the government, or similarly engaged and administer priest or person reasonably believed to be cannot without the consent of the affected person be examined to any communication or confession made to or any advice given by him or her in his or her professional character in the course of discipline enjoined by the church which the minister or the priest belongs. E. A public officer cannot be examined during, after, or his or her tenure as to communication made on him or her official confidence when the court find that the public interest would suffer by the disclosure. The communication on shall remain privileged even in the hands of the third person who may have obtained the information provided that the original parties to the communication took reasonable precaution to protect its confidentiality. Testimonial privilege, Section 25, parental and filial privilege. No person shall be compelled to testify against his or her parents, other the direct ascendants, children, or other the direct descendants, except when such testimonies is indivisible in a crime. and against the person or parent against the other. And Section 26, privilege relating to trade secrets. A person cannot be compelled to testify about any trade secret unless the non-disclosure will conceal fraud or otherwise work injustice when disclosure is directed to court. Take such protective measure as interest of the owner of the trade secret and the parties and the furtherance of the justice may require. Number 3, admission and confession. Section 27, admission of a party. The act, declaration of, or omission of a party as to relevant fact may be given in evidence against him or her. Section 28, offer to compromise not admissible in civil cases. An offer to compromise is not an admission of any liability. It is not admissible in the evidence. Against the offeror, neither is evidence of conduct nor statements made in compromise negotiations admissible except evidence otherwise discoverable or offered for another purpose such as proving bias or prejudice of a witness, navigating contention of undue delay or proving an effort to obstruct a criminal investigation or prosecution. In criminal cases, except those involving quasi-offenses, criminal negligence, or those allowed by law to be compromised, an offer compromised by the accused may be received in evidence as an implied admission of guilt. A plea of guilty, a latter withdrawn, or an unaccepted offer of a plea of guilty to lesser offense is not admissible in evidence against the accused who made the plea or offer. Neither is any statement made in the course of plea bargaining with the prosecution with those not result in any plea of guilty or which result in a plea of guilty. The latter withdrawn admissible, an offer to pay or the payment of a medical hospital or other expenses occasioned by an injury is not admissible evidence as proof of civil or criminal liability for the injury. Section 29, admission by the third party. The rights of a party cannot be prejudiced by an act, declaration, or omission of another except as hereafter provided. Section 30, admission by co-partner or agent. The act or declaration of partner or agent authorized by the party to make a statement concerning the subject or within the scope of his or her authority and during the existence of the partnership or agency may be given in evidence against such as party after the partnership or agency is shown evidence or other than such act declaration. The same rule applies to the act or declaration a joint owner, joint debtor, or other person jointly interested with the party. Section 31, admission by conspirator. The act, declaration of a conspirator in the furtherance of the conspiracy and during its existence may be given in evidence against the co-conspirator. After the conspiracy is shown by evidence other than such act of declaration. Section 32, admission by previous where one derives the title property from another, the latter's act, declarations, or omission in relation to the property is evidence against the former if done while the latter was holding the title. Section 33, admission, silence, an act of declaration made in the presence and within the hearing or observation of a party who does or says nothing when the act or declaration is such naturally to call for an action or comment. If not true and when proper and possible for him or her to do so, may be given evidence against him or her. Section 34, confession. The declaration of an accused acknowledge his or her guilt of the offense, charge, or any offense necessarily included therein may be given evidence against him or her. And conduct evidence. Section 35, similar acts as evidence. Evidence that once did or not to do a certain thing at one time is not admissible to prove that he or she did not do same similar thing at another time, but it may be received to prove specific intent or knowledge, identity, plan, system, scheme, habit, customs, or usage, and the like.